Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
What's going on in the world of NASCAR?
Wow, man, these last 2 weeks have been pretty fun. This past weekend, Bubba Wallace wins his second race, becoming the first black driver to win multiple races. Last year, he won in Talladega in a rain-shortened race. Of course, people going like, anytime you win a rain-shortened race, they're going like, you really didn't win it and all that kind of stuff. But first of all, if you win any race in NASCAR is the top, the NASCAR Cup Series is the top division. So with that being said, if you win, you win. It doesn't matter whether it's rain-shortened or not. But, Bubba Wallace switched cars, because Kurt Busch has been out with concussion syndrome. And the bottom line of it is they wanted to win the manufacturer's championship, so they switched him from the 23 to the 45 and brought his crew chief with him. And lo and behold, these guys came out, took the lead, and didn't relinquish it in the final segment to win the race. It was awesome to see. It was a dominant performance in that last segment. So just really good to see. Bubba Wallace has got talent. We know he's got talent. He's a little hard on himself, but it was just really great to see. Something else that's been kind of boiling over in recent weeks is Kevin Harvick being very vocal about this next gen car. His car caught fire last week, and he was very vocal on how bad the car is, and to the point to where some of the drivers are actually complaining that when you hit the wall, it really hurts because they don't, and where metal used to be, there's styrofoam and there's no fire retardant. That's why his car caught on fire, because the rubber from the tires is getting under there and the exhaust is right there where the rubber is going and catching the cars on fire. And there was no fire retardant on that styrofoam and everything that's underneath these cars. So they did make some changes with the cars this week, so they hopefully don't catch on fire. But Kevin Harvick's car broke down again this week. All the cars are being manufactured by NASCAR and given to the teams to help cost. So the parts are coming from overseas, like the wheels. They're BBS. They come from overseas. So they're in where now that the supply chain issues are in play, some of the parts that are getting now are cheap. So some teams are getting cars that got cheap parts and cars are breaking. So Kevin Harvick has been very vocal about that and making NASCAR make some changes, because you need to listen to the guys that's been back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s. NASCAR listened to the drivers because they're the ones driving the cars. Now that everything's kind of different, that all the cars are built in the R&D center and everything, and they give them to the teams and just like the hell with it. But I think the drivers put a lot of input. Since they're driving these cars every week, they really need to pay attention to what these, especially champions that's been in the sport, they need to listen to it. This is I wanted to say this as well. This coming week will be the third race, and there will be 4 drivers will drop out because you get 16 drivers in the playoffs. But I can say this is the first time in NASCAR history that we've had 18 different winners. That's also a first. So, it's been very competitive this year. There's been a lot of winners this year, and we could see probably 2, maybe 3 more. Oh, and this is fresh off the press. I forgot to say this. Kurt Busch will be leaving Joe Gibbs Racing and going to Richard Childress Racing. The significance of this is he's going to the 8 car, which is Tyler Reddick's car. Tyler Reddick is still signed by Childress, but everybody knows, if you hadn't heard, he's supposed to be going to 2311 racing in 2024. But Richard Childress has been very pissed about how he handled the announcement of him going to 2311, and Joe Gibbs haven't been able to find sponsorship since M&M's is leaving the 18 car. But now Tyler Reddick does not have a car to drive next season. So maybe he signed up with Joe Gibbs for a season and maybe not be sponsored. I mean, they still have Interstate Batteries as a sponsor, but, they don't have a major sponsor. Eminem's been their major sponsor for years. But Kurt Busch will be in the 8 car next year. I mean, Kyle Busch will be in the 8 car next year for Richard Childress Racing. So that's big news that came out today.